If you're new here, we've done this for a few years now, starting at the beginning of the new year up until opening day in mid-February. We talk with each and every ACC head coach. That number has gone up since we started doing this, which means you get like 3 of these a week. We are pleased to be joined. I'm Daron Vaught, by the way. Bradley Smart is here as well, of ACC Extra and D1Baseball.com fame. We are pleased to be joined by now entering his 8th year as the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, Mike Bell. Mike, when I say that and that number comes out of my mouth, how does that make you feel? What kind of emotions does that provoke?
When I started looking around the league, as you said, where you're talking to a player that played in the mid 90s in this league, but to go from the teams that we had back then to go to what it seemed like 12 or 14, now 16 teams. And it's when you say the word 8, I actually had to think about that two days ago when I knew we were doing this. I was like, is this year 7? No, it's year 8. It's year 8. And with COVID thrown in there and stuff too, yeah, this is like 8's a big number for me. I've bounced around a lot, and 8 in one spot has been a big number for me for sure. But super excited about this group, super excited about what's coming down the pipe here at Pitt, and really excited to get things going.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing kind of with, you being at Pitt for as long as you have, going into last year, obviously everyone got invited to the tournament, but you guys had been the 4 ACC championships before that. And it kind of feels like, you keep stacking sort of these good seasons in Pitt's history. I'm kind of curious, where do you see the program at, going into this spring?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Kind of the running joke last year. I kind of told our guys, because if you rewind it back 2 years ago, we had to wait till the last day to make sure we qualified for the tournament. And that's the way this league is. It's razor thin. It could be a half a game. You could win a game, but somebody else could beat somebody else on the last day. And I remember we were at NC State playing Coach Hart, Coach Avent, and those guys. And Coach Mesoraco was kindly to give me updates on what was going on in Louisville, Florida State, things like that. So like going from those days of finding out on the last hour of who's in, who's out, to, as I told our guys last year in our first meeting back in January, congratulations. And they're looking at me. I said, you already made the conference tournament. So our goal is making sure that we're playing our best baseball leading into that tournament. It's not where we start the beginning of this journey, but how we can play our best baseball in the most important time of the year. And that's what you want to do. That's what the goal has been from day one here, taking over this thing 8 years ago. Can we play baseball? Can we play our best baseball in May, but not only in May, but in June? And that's always going to be the goal here, is to find that way to get to the postseason. We've had some great years for this program. We've developed some continuity, some consistency. I think teams realize when they're going to play a Pitt Panther team, they're going to have to play their game. Yeah, you just can't walk in here, I don't want to say like you used to, but things are different. And we have to do some things different as well to kind of find a way to take that next step forward. And those are things that we try to address in the offseason and in today's world of shaping a roster year after year. We want to play our brand of baseball. We want to be who we are, but we have to be able to take it a little step forward to kind of get to where we want to be.
Well, Mike, you mentioned building a roster, and obviously the game has changed. The landscape has changed. Just on your side, though, maybe trying to isolate those variables, and we can talk about them separately if we want to. From your perspective, in 8 years, what's changed maybe about what you guys value as a staff and the kinds of players that you welcome into the program?
Everything has changed. But number one, when I look at 8 years ago, as we walked into a roster in late July, of what we had was already here. As we got into year 2, year 3, the old school portal was the 4-2-4. It was a junior college transfer, maybe somebody that didn't get the at-bats as a freshman, that had to go prove himself. And I was a junior college player. Coach McGahee back in the day was a junior college player who was our recruit coordinator at the time. So the ability to flip the roster pre-COVID and COVID times of the 4-2-4, coming out of COVID, all of a sudden we have this portal world. So now instead of high school prospects, junior college prospects, we have a third tier of now we have the ability to get somebody maybe a little bit older too. So now you throw in the likes of a Tate Levens, Logan Evans, Ryan Andre, these guys, Dylan Simmons, Baron Stewart, guys that could come into your program that had a little success at some of the places, but they weren't in maybe the Power Four league or that upper echelon program. And we could develop and take their game to another level to put them into a situation. The portal was great for us early on. I think it allowed us to stabilize, as you say, the consistency of making the ACC tournament and compete year in and year out as we develop some freshmen or younger guys that started here as a freshman. The problem with the portal was when the NIL got involved. When the NIL got involved, and then all of a sudden, let's just say the lack of clarity or the lack of rules, the gray areas, those type of things, that's where things have kind of gotten muddied up a little bit. And that's where we've had to make changes there in our portal classes as well as our high school classes, you know, bringing in some high-level prospects like Lagenza this past year. We just have to make sure we're fishing in different ponds than some other guys. There's still going to be some fish in there to grab. We just want to make sure we're grabbing the right ones.
Yeah, and when you look at your transfer class this year, I think that's a pretty good description of it. You know, junior college guys, Division III guys, all ranks of D1 really. Can you talk some about how you found a lot of these guys and sort of what you were targeting? Because obviously you're bringing back a lot offensively.
So you're talking to somebody who played junior college baseball before he played Division I baseball. I coached high school baseball and Division II baseball before I coached Division I baseball. There are great players at all levels. There's big leaguers at all levels. We have to do our job of finding out who can really fit into our system, who can fit into our program, and sometimes we have to look where other people aren't. And we've been able to do that. You know, Michael Savarese, I think about it, from Pasco Hernando Junior College, who's coming off a Division II World Series title. All he's ever done is win. That's okay. We like winners. You know, Cade Doolin, our top returning hitter, who was a junior college, I believe, junior college Division II, Division III champion the year before. Winning carries itself. Now you get into some of the guys that have had success at different levels, or maybe they didn't have success right off the bat, but they've found something at their next stop, like a Freddie Beravudis, who started off at Virginia, went to Chipola for a year, and all of a sudden he's the Appy League pitcher of the summer. He's riding high coming in, and you know what? Just a little confidence, little changes here or there, and some of it's just maturity as well. So we can find guys at different levels. David Leslie's been at Grove City for, I think, 15 years. Vinny Spazzucco was a Central Connecticut State left-hander who was pitching phenomenally in the NACBL, coming off of a year where he had Tommy John 2 years ago, and I think he's going to take his step forward. We also have the guys that, you know, like I said, that have been here from day one. So I think you can find guys in different areas. It's a lot of credit to our staff. Devin Mesoraco, who's been my rock here for the last 4 or 5 years. He likes to call himself the general manager. He's kind of the portal king behind the scenes. He does a lot of work there. We've had a lot of transition in staff. We've had guys get head jobs, recruiting coordinator jobs. This has been a great opportunity for guys to kind of get their feet wet and build their niche. And it's been an opportunity for me to also bring some guys back that played here. Excited to have Sky Duff back here with us. Everybody loves Sky and the way that he attacked the game, and we're excited to have him in. We brought in Luke Bonfield from the University of Tennessee, who's helped them recruit a juggernaut there for the last 4 or 5 years and knows what it's like to win, being at programs with Tennessee and Arkansas. And he's seen it at a high level. Clay Martin coming over from Seton Hill, who's a PSAC I mean, they just keep crushing it over here on Western PA and Ohio. So what our staff is bringing, but what they've also been able to acquire with these players in the summer, they're guys that you haven't heard of yet, but they've had a lot of success in different areas. And I think when you start flipping and you start seeing this going, like, kind of like the pieces. I like the pieces.
Well, talking about the pieces you have returning, there's a really strong core there. Mike, I see these numbers. 56% of plate appearances are back, 53% of home runs, 57% of your runs driven in. That feels like a larger number than it used to. Like, to return half or more than half of your production from a previous year's lineup, it's a little bit of an aberration in college baseball these days. So I would imagine you got to feel really good about the returning aspect of your team as well.
In today's climate, in today's world, retention is key. Retention is key. And retention at the University of Pittsburgh with the Pitt baseball program starts with development and trust. And I think AJ Nessler is a perfect example of that. AJ was here, you know, and it's a great story of a guy that came with, you know, and had to work his way from day one. Had to prove himself and continue to prove himself and continue to prove himself. All he needed was an opportunity. And when you got to know AJ, the person, the competitor, what he did his freshman year, he had a little bit of a hamate at the back end of it. He provided himself opportunities that were better for him and more suited for him back home. His year at the UCF provided him experience in the postseason, but he also knew that he was missing something. And not a lot of coaches would say, hey, yeah, come on back. But I had to understand the situation. I had to understand the person. So when you talk about retention, bringing somebody like that back last year, but also having him that much closer to finishing his degree this year and putting himself in position, the retention from Nessler, the retention from Doolin, the retention from Carrier, the retention from Piscaretta, there's a reason why those guys want to come back. They know they are going to get developed. They know they're going to be provided opportunity. They know how special this place and the staff are here. They see what is provided for others. Sometimes crossing that line and seeing what's out there sounds great. You don't always know what's out there until you have to cross that line and go there. And sometimes that green grass ends up being like AstroTurf. It's kind of fake. So they know what they have here. They know they've got great opportunity. But you're right. Some of that experience coming back, we all know we're going to miss Cantwell, the energy he brought each and every day, but also the production he brought. I wish we had that production or that coming back on the mound, because I still think you still win with pitching and defense. I think we were able to find some experience, just experience in other areas. But we're super excited. Carrier, Piscaretta, Doolin, Nessler, keeping these guys healthy with what we've been able to bring in with a Trey Fenderson, with a Wagner at third base. Like and then you have the freshman. It allows him to breathe as a freshman. It allows him to kind of settle in and not have to worry about being the guy right off the bat.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about Lagenza. Obviously, that was the big offseason news. Post-draft, seeing him, committing and coming, making it to campus. What did that kind of say about what you guys are building and also about what he wants to do at Pitt?
I think it goes back to, like you said, the trust and the development. We were super excited to have a phone call of, hey, don't worry, like, this is done, I'm coming. It shows, it's a testament to him, his family, their beliefs. They held to what they thought the expectations were. It never got there, and there was a lot of things that he had to say no to throughout the process. And we all know how those processes go. They're very nerve-wracking. And to come in the fall like most freshmen, I mean, it just, whether you're experiencing it here on campus or experiencing it on a backfield complex somewhere, this game is going to make you question some things. And this is a talent, Mason Lagenza, that can make you sit there and scratch your head and go, man, I've never seen somebody do that. But then he can also scratch your head and go, I haven't seen anybody do that either. There's still going to be a growth process here. And he had his experiences through the fall. We had to tell him in our first fall game, we're playing Cincinnati, and I said, we got 2 sevens today. I just want you to know, you're not playing in the first game. I want you to watch the speed of this. I want you to settle in with this. And we pinch hit him late in the first game. I think he had a hit by pitch. Game 2, he goes double, triple, and played like he had not played in the inter squads. And I think some of that just being able to settle in to the speed of this, what's going on here and processes. It's all going to be about decision process for him. But when he can connect with it, he can do things that other guys can't do. It's a rare combination of speed and power. We just have to learn how to play the game at a high level and play consistent, because none of these guys have seen this at the high school level. They really haven't. But the upside is unlike any other upside that we've ever had here.
Yeah. And again, I don't want it to go overlooked. That's a 6th round draft pick.
It's a 6th round draft.
And like with a chance to go to an organization in the Dodgers that, most would argue is run as well as any big league franchise. And yet he's there on campus playing for you at Pitt. Like, that's a big deal.
And if everybody knows how the draft works. I mean, it's a 6th round draft pick with the Dodgers. It wasn't 6th round money. It was way over that. And there were a lot of other teams that called in the 5 other rounds before that. I mean, there was some consideration with teams on the back end of the first round, just because this was a high upside, unproven, kind of late bloomer type guy that just continued to grow. And the physical specimen that he is, but what he can do athletically, but more importantly, the person. And I think, it showed a true testament to him, his family. As I get older in life, you kind of remember where you are. Certain things happen. I will always remember that phone call. I know where I will be when I took it. I remember the moment, and it's like, okay, this guy's coming. And he's been a wonderful teammate, and he's continuing to grow, continue to get better each and every day, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. And not to talk more about, the other side of the ball, but I do think it is, as a pitching guy, I think it's 6 or 7 of your top 8 in innings pitched are since gone. How do you kind of approach the fall when you're dealing with that much turnover?
It's interesting. Our falls are really built around short stints to try to get guys more opportunities on the mound. I don't really build up pitch count or anything like that. And with the portal and with some of these guys having some history behind them, you kind of look at some of that. You're trying to tinker. You're trying to, polish some guys up, teach them a little bit more about maybe, I would say, the ACC level instead of the D3 or the mid-major. And it's not a slight to a junior college guy or anything like that. It's just the speed of the game, the execution of the game. But as you start to identify, it still comes back to some main points. Can we throw more than 2 pitches for strikes? Can we have a high strike percentage? Are we putting guys away? Are we navigating innings? Are we controlling the running game? And the guys that kind of rise to the top of that, as you start looking at it, I'm going, okay, I don't necessarily think you have the old school mentality of like, hey, these 3 to 4 starters are going 6, 7 innings or 8 or 9 as they did back in the day. We might have to combo some things. I'm not saying we're going pods or anything like that, but I think if I've got 2 guys that can give me 7 or 2 guys that can give me 8, sometimes that could be better off trying to navigate through that third time through the lineup with somebody new that you trust than it is wearing somebody down when you get into May. And, for years, I think that was kind of like, hey, you win with your best. Well, let's make sure our best is deep. And I think we have some strike throwers. Our guys know if you want to pitch, you better throw some strikes. But more importantly, we have some guys that have done it before at different levels. And I think early on, we'll have some of those, what I call combos with guys, Spazuko, Bevervudes, Lafferty finished very strong for us last year, pitched well in the draft league. David Leslie, Michael Savarese, Eddie Schmink. But I think there's some neat bullpen pieces too. Michael Gray was a D3 lefty at Denison who pitched well in the Cape, who brings it each and every day. Danny McAuliffe, I feel like, has been in school for 18 years. It just continues to grow and grow each and every day. And there's some intriguing lefties down there too. So I'm always going to have a few lefties back there.
Yeah. Mike, when you guys put together a staff, especially in a year like this where you recognize that there are a lot of holes to fill, how much of the upfront thought process is, okay, we want a really diverse group of pitchers, because it seems like in years past that's been a key for you guys. Like, you can approach hitters from a lot of different directions.
Strike throwing obviously is number one for me.
Yeah.
You can throw 100 miles an hour. If it's ball four, it doesn't matter. We have to have the ability to play the game. I think it was in 2006, 2005, we had the number one pick in the country at the University of Tennessee. His name was Luke Hochaver. You're automatically a better pitching coach when you have that type of guy. 2006 or 2007, we have a 5'9", if he's on his tippy toes, right-hander by the name of Craig Cobb, who was a walk-on fastball changeup. I'm talking 85, 87, but the separation on the change was like a wiffle ball. So at the end of the day, being diverse or just having different looks, is if you're getting outs, we don't care. You don't have to be a first-round draft pick. I will come in this office each and every day and ask who's the next left-hander, who's the next guy on the board. You can never have enough left-handed pitching, plain and simple. But we need to make sure we have enough balance left and right, love different angles, love different pitches. I've had guys here recently that teaching me more and more, with the Mitch Myers of the world or the Phil Fox, the guys with the high induced vertical fastballs, the guys that can ride it up versus sinking down. Years ago, pitching at the University of Oklahoma, you better be down in the zone there because pop-ups are leaving the yard. And it was all about being sink. But now you have to have the ability. And I think, like you said, having multiple looks, the guys that can individually do it and go bottom of the zone and top of the zone, more power to you. But ultimately, this goes back to, do we have separation in our three? Do we have distinct three different pitches from a shape standpoint? Can we attack with those three and not beat ourselves? And last year, I felt like we kind of left some things out there, a few too many free passes for me. We didn't make as many plays defensively as we needed to. And those probably are the difference in 2 to 3 ball games. When you start talking about offensively striking out a little bit too much. So the things that we tried to hit on in the offseason and some of our portal and some of our stuff was, hey, what is our bat to ball skills? Can we put these balls in play? But from the pitching side of things, let's make sure we're finding our strike throwers, and let's try to tighten up the defense and be a little more athletic, especially through the middle.
Yeah, and when you talk about defense, obviously you have a lot of guys coming back, and I know you brought in some guys that surely will play a lot. Have you seen sort of improvements defensively in the fall?
I think competition brings out the best in everybody. And one of the things that I noticed early on, our inter squads were very competitive because our depth was old. You have guys that, when I say this, I've talked about Trey Fennerston and Cade Doolin up the middle. Jake Kendrow, Gavin Miller played a lot of games for us last year. The competition going on there, Anthony LaSalla, who's a fourth year senior. There's a lot of competition pushing each other and helping each other. That's the beautiful part about it is, and again, Coach Duff's done a great job with the infielders. Coach Bonfield continuing to work with the outfielders because we've got some older and younger guys out there putting his twist on things. But when you see guys turning around and start helping each other, then you know what we're teaching and what we're talking about is kind of a culture piece in the development part of it. Competition is number one. Sebastian Piscaretta, who was coming off of being a Cape League All-Star, who had a little bit of little bit of a hand hiccup in the summertime. We kind of rested him this fall, but Joey Barron was phenomenal behind the plate. Jackson Cook, who we all know just give him a pinch hit, he's going to hit a home run or a double. He was phenomenal back there and got better as a catcher because of development. And so competition, development, what we put these guys through each and every day. You want the practices, the inter squads, the fall to be harder than anything they've ever seen, because you want the game to be as easy as it can be, and you want them to enjoy it and relax and just go play, man. Just go play.
Yeah. You've mentioned Fenderson from Presbyterian in terms of the transfer class. I saw both him and Aiden McCaskey from Charleston Southern, Mike, in the Big South tournament. Both players I like a lot, and I think they do fit your guys' program really well. But when you're going down to the Big South Conference to get players, and I know they're not the only ones who come from warmer environments, is there a conversation about, for instance, I don't know how much snow's on the ground currently up there, but like, is there a conversation in terms of, hey, preseason's going to look a little bit different here, even if it's just a joking conversation?
Well, McCaskey's from north of the border. He's from Canada, so I'm okay there. He was more upset that the Blue Jays got beat in the World Series. He's going to be able to handle that. But I'll tell you what a great worker, great classic left-handed swing, can play a little bit of outfield, can really play a little bit of first. Going to factor in somehow, some way. Just don't know. Trey Fenderson, very athletic. And when you look at the numbers, you're going like, this guy should already be in pro ball based on the tool set. But it just needed to be cleaned up. I probably got a little bit of an attitude within the first week or two, just because I felt like there was too much athleticism going on there to see the errors that are going on in the field. This isn't a physical thing. This isn't a mental thing. This is more of a focus thing. So from a coaching staff, from the defensive standpoint, I think he was probably like the biggest jump from the beginning of fall to end of the fall. And some of it's expectation. Some of it's just expectation of what's allowed and what's expected. His at-bats continue to just surprise you. Really excited. It's a high end. I believe it's Bessemer, Alabama. Remember the recruiting trip? And I said, I coached a young man from Bessemer one time. I think he walked away with a Heisman Trophy, and he closed for us at Florida State by the name of Jameis Winston. And they're like, J-Boo? And I'm like, so it kind of worked out there from a relationship standpoint. But Fenderson's got a lot of upside. Played really well in the draft league, and I'm very intrigued to see how his season progresses. Because, again, Big South, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's Suncoast Conference like Michael Savarese from a junior college. It could be Grove City, Davis, and Leslie. The game, big leaguers come from different places. And I think that's the one thing this portal has provided opportunities for guys that maybe have gone and developed. Michael Gray from Denison. I mean, I didn't even know where Denison was from. I know this. That's an uncomfortable left-handed arm that late in the game, I want that guy with the ball in his hand, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the one thing you keep stressing in every answer is just the depth offensively. How does it compare to previous years? Is it some of the best you've had, or where do you kind of put it?
I'm a tough read when I go home, and my assistant general manager, my wife, she'll always want to know how we're going to be, this or that. And she knows, like, she's not going to get the answer, like, because I'm not going to come home happy. One day it's the pitching side that won. One day it's the offensive side that won. There's depth there, but it's unproven depth. And when I say unproven, like, there's history, but until you toe it in this league, somebody asked me the other day, hey, how are you guys going to be? I love our guys. Our guys are great. They worked hard, had a phenomenal fall. They took care of business off the field as well as on the field. You just don't know in today's game what everybody else has. That's the difference. In today's world, portal, rev share, NIL, you look at what some of these teams in our league have coming back. You look at some of the teams across the country. It's going to be an interesting year. This game, our college baseball just continues to surprise me. The growth. Look at what we're doing here today, talking about it. When you see Nick Kurtz winning Rookie of the Year and these guys going to the big leagues as quick as they are, our game is preparing the next 2 years big leaguers. It is what it is. And I love what I see out of our guys, but I know this, as I said earlier, it's a long year. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're going to have to continue to grow together as a group and make sure we're still learning the game as we go and still teaching them the game. Because even though there's experience, these guys, they still have to grow together. They still have to grow together.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, Coach. I know this is kind of an antsy time of the year in the weeks leading up to opening day. So best of luck with weather and getting practices in before, the marathon starts.
So I'm looking outside the window here. It is bright and sunny. I will say that. I'm inside.
It's a good start.
I always say it's 75 and sunny. And plain and simple. It's a mindset. And if I can't go outside to get 75 and sunny, we'll stay inside and we'll get our work done. And we'll be ready. One thing that I know we've kind of held our hat on and taken pride in is our guys will be ready to go.
No doubt. We love to see it. Mike, appreciate the time. Best of luck, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, guys. And again, thank you for everything you do for college baseball.